This is DirecTV, now part of the AT&T family and home of the Red Zone, the Fantasy Zone, the Dan Patrick Show, 20 years of NFL Sunday Ticket, Rich Eisen, and America's premier source for sports entertainment.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
You play to win your fantasy title. Hey, NFL.com. Lucky fantasy owners there getting the VIP experience. Oh, hey, Mark Schlereth of ESPN fame with his stinking good chili sauce. He's there, of course, with his beautiful wife, Lisa, our in-house doc, Dr. Mark Addix. Oh, it'll be a fun one today. It is week 15, and you could probably use some of the stinking good chili sauce for the weather going around the NFL today. That is the hot topic du jour, of course. Chicago, a lot of questions there. It'll be cold, perhaps record-setting. We've got rain in New York. It could rain in Baltimore. A lot of Counting Crows references to be had there. Arrowhead will be frigid as well. John Ritchie, you played in the league. You played in some cold games. What worries you on this docket?
I don't worry as much about the cold games there as the one in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The wet, rainy game with Matthew Stafford trying to jerry-rig a glove, cutting out all the fingers except the middle one that, you know, he has a middle finger issue. It was dislocated at the top joint. Last week against the Bears, in the first half, his passer rating was 111. Second half, it was 13.5. They were trying to figure out a way for him to grip that ball and stop spraying it all over the stadium. They have to. I'm worried about him today.
And now it's a downpour. It's a recipe
now
for
it's
disaster.
wet. Those gloves are not as good when they're wet. That's a real issue.
I think we're okay in Baltimore. I'm a little worried about Chicago, though. The key word is extreme. So it's extreme. It's like 6 out there with some wind. So I'm lowering expectations for the Green Bay Packers. Maybe a guy like Ty Montgomery can get the ball behind the line of scrimmage, near the line of scrimmage, and do some damage in a PPR. But I'm lowering expectations.
All right, let's move on to the other big topic. It is the fantasy wrench of 2016. I'm talking about Adrian Peterson. He is back. He is active. We're hearing from Jay Glazer that he'll be involved, but maybe not as involved as we'd like. He's got a really favorable matchup, but he was not very efficient before the injury.
Yeah, only 1.6 yards a carry running behind this shabby offensive line. And, oh, by the way, he only had about 3 practices the last 3 months, so I would not expect much. I think the ceiling is about 50, 60 yards and a touch, but some downside to using Mr. Peterson. I'd say use him only if you really, really need him. Do not use him over a volume back like a Doug Martin or someone like that. I would use those guys and use Peterson only if really desperate and kind of need the help.
Well, Richie, you have to think that defenses are going to focus on Adrian Peterson, maybe opening up the passing game even more.
Well, that's what happens. Adrian Peterson comes into the game. Every defense in the NFL stacks the box to stop him. You add a safety to that equation, so that makes things better for Adam Thielen, for Stephon Diggs, for Kyle Rudolph down the field. This is a shotgun passing team. Adrian Peterson is a better decoy at this stage of the season with his health than he is a ball carrier.
All right, another running back, the hot topic is Kenneth Farrow. Melvin Gordon goes down, and Farrow puts up some numbers. He's versatile, and they're using him a lot, and that was against a stout Carolina run defense. This week, he's got a super favorable matchup up against the Raiders. You've got to think you might even like him more than Adrian Peterson.
I think I would use Farrow over Peterson. We do have some concerns with Ronnie Hillman in the mix. He is a veteran. Granted, he only signed here about a month ago, but maybe they trust him a little bit more. But listening to Mike McCoy this week, it seems like he has confidence in Farrow, who had 22 touches last week. That's a nice number. 4.6 yards a carry are the Raiders giving up. 5 rushing touchdowns over the last 5 weeks. The 5th most fantasy points to running backs over that span. He did catch all 6 targets, so I feel okay about him. I'm not going to put him in my lineup over a real proven commodity, but I have him around 20. I think you could use him if you need him for sure.
I think, Richie, people are worried because they don't know anything about it.
Right, and he's an undrafted rookie who has really had to overcome the odds to get where he is. He has a lot to prove.
You like that about him.
He played that way last week. I mean, he's a 220-pound back who gets after it. He finishes with power. He's quicker than he is fast. I think he has the opportunity to get 20-plus touches today. Will probably score because they want to keep the ball out of Phillip Rivers, throwing 60 times a game. He's turned it over an awful lot, has Phillip Rivers. They're going to try to support him with the run game with Farrow.
You heard it here first. Kenneth Farrow over Adrian Peterson today. In what world are we living in that's a fact? Moving on to Drew Brees. In what world are we living in that the past 2 weeks he has no touchdowns and 6 interceptions? It boggles my mind. And now he's got to go on the road. I know it's Drew Brees. I know he might have Michael Thomas back, and that might save him. Thomas does have touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games on the road.
Right, and certainly Drew Brees has never gone 3 games in his entire career without throwing a touchdown pass, so he'll find the end zone in this one. We're going to see Patrick Peterson on Brandon Cooks. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, is back. He'll likely see a little bit of Willie Snead in the slot. So I really like Michael Thomas. There is a hole in the Cardinal secondary at corner that I think they will exploit. And no weather concerns. This also could be a little bit of a shootout. So I'm rolling with Drew Brees in this game, expecting a solid performance.
Yeah, no way he can have a 3rd straight game.
He plays best when it seems like the world is against him. He's the undersized quarterback that had the bum shoulder that no one wanted to take a chance on except for Sean Payton. And now look at where he is. I am not worried about him today, even though this is the number 2 overall defense, the number 2 pass defense, the number 1 overall defense in the NFL. Drew Brees will figure out a way to get it done and overcome these odds.
I think you always play your matchups when it comes to the quarterback spot. It's why I'm not afraid to play a guy like Colin Kaepernick. So you look at some of the matchups here in Week 15, it's win and in. And if you have Drew Brees up against the Cardinals, they're tough. I don't like it. If you have Tom Brady traveling to the Broncos, I am not confident in that. I don't like Andrew Luck banged up without Dante Moncrief visiting Minnesota. In Minnesota, no thanks. Give me as a sleeper Alex Smith today, because it's this vanilla granola kind of, not sexy play, but you know what you're getting. A guy that's not going to turn the ball over. The guy getting the best out of his tight end for this past several weeks, Travis Kelce. He's got Macklin back. Tyreek Hill's making plays, and I'm not scared of the matchup. I think it's perfect. The Titans allowing the most points to opposing quarterbacks over the past 5 weeks, so that's my sleeper.
4 or 5 months ago, Allen Robinson was a number 1 pick. We all loved him. That was like a lifetime ago. But I'll tell you what, if you're in the playoffs now after drafting Allen Robinson in the 1st round, you're a good fantasy general manager. And I say roll with him in this game. He had his best game of the season in this matchup, 9 grabs, 107 with a touch. He's either gone over 100 or scored in every career game against the Houston Texans. And Jonathan Joseph is out. So Allen Robinson, prepare to be reacquainted with Mr. Robinson today.
Adam Thielen has looked like the best wide receiver in Minnesota over the last month, and he's got 25 targets over his last 3 games. Now he's going up against the Colts defense that has allowed 9 receivers to either score or gain 100 yards receiving over the past 6 games. 9 receivers in 6 games. I like Thielen and Diggs today.
All right,
They also put their corner on IR.
Dr. Mark Addix here in studio to break down any injuries if they happen. And we, of course, will give you the fantasy analysis. Let's take you to a matchup where there's 2 quarterbacks that I would play Alex Smith over. You've got Eli Manning, you've got Matt Stafford. Giants have the ball at a rainy MetLife.
It's been a struggle the last 3 weeks for Eli Manning.